Alright, so today we're going to do pre-chapter 1, R2, so the second review. It's going to be on exponents and negative exponents. So kind of continuing on what we did in R1, but we're going to include negative exponents here. So we have negative exponents and dividing with exponents. In exponential expressions with negative exponents, we would move the base to the bottom. So move the base on top to the bottom. Or vice versa. So, meaning if the base was already on the bottom, we would move it to the top. And we make the exponent positive. So looking at our example here, we have a to the power of negative n. We don't like negative exponents, so we always want it to be positive. So what we would do is take the base and move it to the bottom of the fraction and change the exponent to be positive. If it was already on the bottom, we would move it to the top. And again, anytime you move it, you make the exponent positive. When dividing exponential expressions with the same base, we subtract the exponents. And it's always the top minus the bottom. So here I have a to the power of m divided by a to the power of n. So that would be a to the power of m minus n, top minus the bottom. So you subtract the exponents. All right, let's take a look at example 1. So I have 4 to the power of negative 2. So I want my exponent to be positive. What should I do here? How? Put it on the bottom. So it would be 4 to the power of 2 on the bottom. So when I move it to the bottom, it becomes positive. And now I'm left with nothing on the top, so I would just put a 1 there. What is 4 to the power of 2? 16. So this would be 1 over 16. All right, let's take a look at 2. How do I make the exponent positive? Put it on the bottom. So what would go on top? 1. And what goes on the bottom? X to the third power. So 1 over x to the third power. Number 3. What is that power of negative 4 being applied to? Just the x. So what gets moved to the bottom? The x to the 4th power. Where does the 2 go? 2 stays on the top. What is the power of negative 3 being applied to? The 2/5. So how do I make that exponent positive? What should I do first? Flip it. So I would flip it. Instead of 2/5, I'd make it 5/2. So the 5 goes on the top, 2 goes to the bottom, and change it to a positive 3. What can I do next? Yes?
You would multiply 5 by itself 3 times and do the same thing with 2.
Awesome. So I want to distribute the third power. So I have 5 to the third power and 2 to the third power. So what is 5 to the third power? 125. So if you didn't know that right off the top of your head, no problem. Write it down. 5 times 5 times 5. 5 times 5 would be 25, and then just multiply another 5. So 5 times 5, again, is 25. 5 times 2 would be 10 plus 2, 125. And then what's 2 to the third power? 8. 2 times 2 times 2. If you can simplify your fraction, simplify it, but you don't have to make it a mixed number. You can leave it as an improper fraction. But if you can simplify, make sure you simplify it. Here we don't have any common factors between 125 and 8. Another way we can do this problem would be first distributing. So I would have 2 to the power of negative 3 over 5 to the power of negative 3, and then flip them. You'll get the same answer. It doesn't matter which way you want to do it first. You can flip it, then distribute, or distribute, then flip. Any questions there? All right, let's look at 5. What should I do first here? Put it on the bottom. What's going to go to the bottom? Negative 4 squared. Perfect. What is negative 4 squared? 16. So our answer would be 1 over 16. So that negative 4 is getting squared. So it's like negative 4 times negative 4, which becomes positive 16. Now 6 looks super similar, but it's missing the parentheses. So what should I do here? I can leave the negative on top because that negative exponent is only being applied to the 4. So the negative can just stay on top. What goes to the bottom? 4 to the second power. And what's 4 to the second power? 16. And just remember, saying negative 1 over 16 is the same thing as saying negative 1 over 16, and it's the same thing as 1 over negative 16. It doesn't matter how you write it. All three of these are the same. So if you moved the negative to the bottom also, that's fine because it doesn't matter where the negative goes, just as long as you don't square the negative. Some more examples. What should I do for number 7? How do I get rid of that negative exponent? The y goes to the bottom, and I leave the x on top. Awesome. The x doesn't have a negative exponent. That negative 3 is only being applied to the y, so just the y goes to the bottom, and the exponent becomes positive. Let's look at number 8. What do you think I should do first for number 8? So here I have values and x's. How can I simplify this? Yeah.
Would you multiply 4x to the power 3 by 16x to the power 4?
Does this mean multiply?
Oh, no.
Okay, with the x's, I can subtract the exponents. That works. So this would be 4x to the third power minus 4 over 16. So I just left the numbers in the same spots they are. Just subtracted the exponents. Remember, it's always top minus the bottom when subtracting the exponents. What's 3 minus 4? Negative 1. So I have 4 to the power of negative 1 over 16. I don't like negative exponents in my answer, so I can flip it. I'll take it and move it to the bottom. So since this is negative, I just want to move it to the bottom, make it positive. So I have 4 over 16x. Do I need to put the 1 there? No, because you don't have to put the exponent of 1 if you have an exponent of 1. It's implied that that 1 is already there. So I simplified the x's, but can I still simplify the numbers? Awesome. I can divide them both by 4 to simplify. So this would be 1 over 4x. All right, remember, I don't like negative exponents in my answer, so how can I make these negative exponents positive? Put them on the bottom. So I'm just going to take the negative ones and move them to the bottom. What should I do with the positive ones? Leave them on the top. So I have 4y squared on top, x to the 3rd power on the bottom, and z to the 4th power on the bottom. Can I simplify this anymore? Any questions there? Let's look at 10. What can I do first here? I'm going to move my negative exponents first, just to make them positive. So I have that one that goes on the bottom, the y goes on the top. So 3y to the 4th power, y to the 3rd power, over x to the 4th power, x to the 2nd power. Can I simplify this anymore? Yeah. How? How do I combine them? Add. Yes. So I would have y to what power? To the 7th power, and x to what power? To the 6th power. We add the exponents since we're multiplying. When you have 2 of the same exponents on the top, you add them together. If you had 1 on top, 1 on the bottom, if you're dividing them, that's when you subtract. So 5 to the 9th power divided by 5 to the 7th power. How can I simplify? Subtract the exponents. So I have the same base. How would I subtract the exponents? 9 minus 7, top minus bottom. And 9 minus 7 is 2. What's 5 squared? 25. Somebody in the last class asked, can I just do 5 to the 9th power and divide it by 5 to the 7th? Yeah, that would work, but you'd be multiplying all day and then dividing. So you wouldn't want to do that. Maybe if you had a calculator, that would be an easier way to go. So you could just put it in the calculator. But simplify before you start multiplying it out. Save yourself some time. All right, we're going to go down to number 13. How can I simplify 13? Subtract. 10 minus 14, which is negative 4. I don't like negative exponents in my answer. How do I make it positive? Put it on the bottom. What's going to go on the top? Perfect. All right, let's look at 14. What can I do first here? I can switch them. So I could take the 7 to the power of negative 3 and move it to the top, make it positive. So I have 7 to the 5th power, 7 to the 3rd power on top. And then how would I combine them? Add them. So 7 to the 8th power. What's another way that I could have done this? Subtract. Yep. So if I had 7 to the 5th power minus the negative 3rd power, what happens when you subtract a negative? It turns into a plus sign. So this would be 7 to the 8th power. So either way you want to do it works. What can I do first for 15? I can switch the x's. That works. So the x to the 4th power is going to go on the bottom. X to the 8th power goes to the top. So I have 15 x to the 8th power, 5 x to the 4th power. What can I do next? Simplify the numbers. So what's 15 divided by 5? 3. What else can I do? Subtract the exponents. So this would be x to the power of 8 minus 4, top minus bottom. So what's 8 minus 4? 4. So it'd be 3x to the 4th power. I have nothing left on the bottom, so I can get rid of the fraction. Don't need it in your answer. What should I do first? I can switch them. So let's move the a to the 5th power to the bottom, b to the 1st power to the bottom, and a to the 2nd power to the top. So I have 15 a squared b to the 4th power, 25 a to the 5th power b to the 1st power. What can I do next? Simplify what? Okay, I can simplify the numbers first. So how would I simplify 15 over 25? Awesome. They're both divisible by 5. So 15 divided by 5 would be 3. 25 divided by 5 is 5. All right, what can I simplify next? I can subtract the exponents for the a's. So since we're dividing, we subtract. So it'd be a to the power of 2 minus 5. What's 2 minus 5? So a to the power of negative 3. Remember, I don't like negatives in my answer. So how can I make that positive? Move it to the bottom. Now let's do the b's. How do I combine the b's? If I'm dividing, what do? Subtract the exponent, so 4 minus 1, so b to the 3rd power, which is already positive, so I just leave it on the top. So that would be my answer. 3b to the 3rd power divided by 5a to the 3rd power.